Welcome back to College Feud. I'm your host, Elvin. For those of you who are new to this show, where the college problems students face on a daily basis gets the spotlight they deserve. For today, we have a situation that any college student will automatically shudder at. Money. That's right, the very idea of surviving on your own for the first time will require the need of budgeting your money. Making sure you don't spend all your money on Starbucks coffee you really don't need. Today's game will see our two contestants see where they put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Let's meet them, shall we? Our first contestant is, would you guess it, a business accountant major who desires to work in those big corporations. Please welcome Jose. And our other contestant is an art major that should tell you how they handle their budgets. Presenting Brian. How are we doing today?
Well, I managed to hand in all my credit card bills on the time, so I can get good credit later. So that's always a plus.
It's not been the best. My check did come in for me to deposit it now. I only got $2 in my wallet.
How did you manage to do that?
I had to get a lot of new paints and canvases for my paintings.
You have a cipher request? PayPal at all?
No, I just do them for me.
Oh, better check into doing those Patreons. I keep hearing about, okay, here are the rules. Both of you will answer the same 5 questions asked by our surveys. All opinion based. There are no wrong answers. The amount of points you receive is based on what the survey says. You either need 200 points or more points than the other contestant in order to win. Any questions?
I have a question.
What's the prize if we win?
Good question. There is no prize. Only the satisfaction of winning.
I mean, a nice cash prize would be nice.
Can we just play the game?
Well, someone doesn't want to waste time here. Are you ready to play College Feud?
I'm ready.
Okay. Have you started a retirement fund? Yes or no?
Yes, of course. Gotta have that money when I'm old and retired.
Well, global warming will probably have something to say about that.
Probably. But I think it's important when you start a job and get some paychecks to save some money to decide for a retirement fund. That way, as the years go by, your money grows more and more. All it takes is budgeting yourself, and when you do, you'll have a steady amount of money for when you retire from working.
I should do that.
How many times do you buy a treat a week?
Once a week. Got to keep up those exercises. That also goes back to budgeting, as you really need to check what is a want or a need. A treat is really something you don't need to survive the week. I'll try my best to not buy junk food that won't even last a week. However, if I have some extra spending money, I'll treat myself.
Do you keep track of your expenses every month?
Yes. I actually have an Excel spreadsheet recounting every penny I spend. Always good to keep track of what you spend. Personally, you should always try to make some sort of budget so that way you know where to spend, but keeping track of what you spend your money on can help you in the long run.
Yeesh. Might as well write a novel based on these expenses. What do you mostly do when you're in the bank? Deposit or withdraw?
Deposit. Saving money is a primary concern. Only withdraw when it's absolutely necessary.
Well, you just spoiled my answer. The total opposite.
Oof, that's not good.
You're a worse spoiler than Tom Holland. Finally, how many times do you buy a coffee a year?
Maybe 4 times a year. It's too expensive to buy it every week. I gotta save that money for things that'll further my career, not really Starbucks runs. Will I treat myself? Sure, but it's not top priority.
All right, you petty saver. Let's check how many points you received. First question, you said, yes, I do have retirement fund. Survey seems to agree with you as others have created retirement funds as well. That's insightful. An honest response has earned you 90 points. Second question, you said, you buy a treat once a week. Sadly, it seems our surveys have a bad case of empty pocket and sweet tooth as you only received 30 points. However, your response was deeply resonant that I'm sure Brian will take into consideration.
Yeah, I think it will.
Third question, you said, yes, do you keep track of your monthly expenses? While your answer proved to be very resourceful and can help out our viewers out there that might want to keep track of their pay. Unfortunately, the surveys were not fully in your state of mind. As such, you get 25 points. Fourth question, you said you commonly deposit from the bank. Seems a third quarter of the surveys pick withdrawal, so you only get 25 points. Seems Brian could have an opportunity to get some points later. Last question, you said you buy coffee only 4 times a year, and wow, the surveys, despite your logic, reason, and great, really like that caffeine, so you only get 5 points, thus bringing you to a total of 175 points. And it looks like you were almost there to get 200 points. Let's see if Brian can compete. Are you ready, Brian?
As ready as I'll ever be.
I wish you good luck.
Excellent. Don't want any cold feet live on TV. Have you started a retirement fund? Yes or no?
No, I have not. My family did not have the budget for it. And since my paychecks are not enough, I had to put all my effort into paying off taxes and other expenses that I just didn't have time to start. Any retirement fund, I know that's probably not a smart financial move, but that's where I'm at.
How many times do you buy a treat a week?
5 times. No real further explanations. I can't go a week without some Twinkies.
Do you keep track of your expenses every month?
Sadly, I do not. When I get my credit card bills, I instantly regret throwing it out, any of the receipts. It's a bad habit, and it always comes back as karma for some fashion because then I have to remember exactly how much I spent on something. I had to remember a whole grocery list once, and it wasn't easy.
Oof. What do you mostly do when you're in the bank? Deposit or withdraw?
Well, sadly, I do withdrawals, a lot of withdrawals. So many that I'm surprised the bank hasn't put a wanted sign on me. I mean, I can't help it. I spend a lot, so I take a lot of trips to the ATM every week.
Double yikes. How many times do you buy a coffee a year?
364 days a year.
What?
What?
Yeah, what can I say? I can't live without that expensive stuff.
I hope it's decaf.
It's not.
Okay then, let's see your score.
I can't watch.
Always with the drama.
Hey, the snarky comebacks are my job. First question, you said you do not have a retirement fund. Very brave to reveal that on camera, but it seems strangely the surveys are on your side with 80 points earned. Second question, you said you buy treats 5 times a day. Those are some high calories, but once again, the surveys are on your side with 75 points. Bestowed upon you. Third question, you said you don't keep track of your expenses. Thank you for your honest and opening up to your mistakes in not doing that. But the surveys seem to be in disagreement as you only earned a mere 10 points. Fourth question, you said you withdraw a lot at the bank. Not always the wisest way to ensure financial stability if you want to save money. And sadly, the survey seems to agree with my statement as you only get 5 points for that. And finally, the last question, you said you buy coffee 364 times a year. Now, I'm not sure if you're just exaggerating, but considering gas prices these days, you may not want to buy coffee that often. And from our surveys, you receive only 1 point, bringing your total to 171 points. And you were only 4 points behind Jose, making Jose the winner of this game Sorry, Brian. Maybe this will teach you to work on your budgeting skills.
Do you really think doing a single round of a game and losing it will just get me to change my whole routine?
That's a good point.
Well, hey, when you look at the time, we seem to have run out of it.
Don't change the subject.
Sorry, blame the time crunch. That's all for this round of College Feud. We'll be back with more of the show after this word.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid
Knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome back to Student Talk, the segment on the show where we interview students about the topics that no one else dares to question about, and also get to know a bit about our students. Money. Money is the greatest thing to a college student, but it's also a really bad thing. You know why? Because of budgeting. We have to budget quickly in order to, get that money so that way we can pay for other things. But no, when we want to see, get the latest new thing, we got no money. So how do college students deal with budgeting? Well, let's go check it out. Hello, I'm here with...
My name is Kirk. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. So tell me, what do you think is the most important thing when you budget?
Honestly, it's the fact of saving up money. I think as young adults, I think we need to think about saving, especially looking into our 20s and 30s. I think a lot of people don't realize and don't think about wasting stuff at this time, but I think having a budget and it leads to saving up money and it leads to better decisions, I believe.
Do you have any methods when you budget?
I don't know. I guess I just when I go to a store and I know I'm gonna buy something, I decide, do I really need it or is it something I just want? I feel like those are the two big differences that lead into deciding into wanting to do a budget or not.
So when you started budgeting, did you have any financial sacrifices you had to make? Anything that you really liked but you had to get rid of for the sake?
Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest things was I still am a big sneakerhead, but back in the day, I would buy constantly. Every week there were releases.
Nikes,
some Jordans, whatever came into the market, I just wanted to get them. So when I started working and got my car, I needed to pay insurance, needed to pay phone bill, I realized, for example, these sneakers, I could use the money that I'm wasting on that to pay these bills. So at the end of the day, I'm not running last minute trying to find money to pay the bills. I feel like that's one of the biggest things, especially as a young adult. That's what our mentality goes to, that, you know, go out, enjoy, have a great time, which we have to do, but at the same time be mindful of wasting money, you know?
Yeah. So would you say, has budgeting give you a sense of responsibility, like you're actually becoming an adult by doing this?
I absolutely do feel that, because like I said before, there are just many restrictions that I can't really take at this time because money issues, you know, not money issues per se, but just you know, you don't want to waste much money because there's other things that you need, for example, you know. So it's all about budgeting, and it's just an important thing that I feel like every young adult needs to do.
Hello, I'm here with Kane TV president.
Hi, I'm Maria.
So, what do you think is the most important thing when it comes to budgeting?
When it comes to budgeting, I think you have to be very meticulous in the way that you plan. So you have to identify exactly what you need versus what you want, in the sense that you have to see, okay, like what bills do I have to pay? What food do I need? Clothes, like the essentials, like a winter jacket, especially like on cold days like today. So you have to do that versus like what you want. Like, let's say you want to go see a movie, or, you know, you might want like a streaming service, but do you really need it? That's the question.
Do you have any personal methods you use when you budget?
It's kind of hard. Like, I feel like for me, I'm a big saver. Like, I don't go shopping. Like, I think the last time I went shopping was maybe 6 months ago when I went thrifting. So it's not like I'm splurging anyway. But
well, that's a method.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, usually I just kind of pay what I have to, like gas, my credit card bill. But I rarely try to even use that unless I absolutely have to. Even going out with friends, I tend to try to plan to have things at each other's houses or something like that, so we don't have to spend too much because we are college students, and it gets very expensive fast eating out.
Do you have any specific sacrifices you had to make when you were budgeting at first?
Not that I could think of at the moment. I feel like I just kind of, at times when friends are let's go out to dinner or something like that, I will sometimes maybe not get exactly what I'm craving to get something that's a little cheaper on the menu, things like that, just to save every buck and dime.
So would you say that becoming an adult and starting budgeting, it's helped you understand a sense of responsibility?
I would definitely say so. Yeah, I feel like I've definitely considered my finances a lot more than I did probably 4 years ago. When you're in high school, you're you might have a minimum wage job, but also you're with your parents and they're still supporting you. But now that we're entering adulthood, a lot of the financial burdens are on yourself. So it's definitely a different dynamic, and it helps. I feel like I'm more prepared for the future because of it, which is good. When I'm considering what I said before, what I need versus what I want, I look down to the bare necessities. So, I look at that when it comes to what I need. What I want, I mean, obviously we always want something, but I kind of even that put into, okay, how is this going to help my future? For instance, when I had to get a new computer 2 years ago, which was super expensive, and I had to save for that and stuff. But because it was for my future, because we use computers for school, I use it for editing, all that stuff, then it was more of an investment. Even though it was a want, it was also a need. So it's kind of you have to balance it out to see exactly how you can be useful in the way that your purchases are.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Follow Kane TV. Well, there you have it. That's a lot of responsible ways that our interviewees talked about. And I think that's the most important thing with budgeting. It's our responsibility to be careful with our money. Money doesn't grow on trees, after all, so why should we treat it like they're just disposable leaves that we rake up for the fall? And that's just not the case. Besides, I'm sure a lot of people take our money when we don't ask to anyway. Taxes. So until next time, I'm Matt, and this has been Student Talk, and we'll be back after the break.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
We're helping our classmates.
Thank you. Aquí ayudamos a quienes les gusta comer postres ricos.
I'm helping my customers.
Sim, muito obrigado. Tchauzinho. Eu estou a fazer isto para ajudar a minha família, comunidade e amigos.
Hi, my name is Marconi Gathers, the health director for the Township Community. Getting vaccinated is the best way to ensure that we continue to help others in our community. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. So please continue to help your community by getting vaccinated at one of our upcoming vaccination clinics. Remember, together we can help our community.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Those 9 months were also 273 days of planning. What about your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. And let's not forget those barbecues you plan in detail for your family and your more vegetarian by the day best friends. That surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Welcome to Small Talk. This is your host. In this segment, we'll be discussing tips on how fellow or future college students can save money and budget themselves. Because while money remains a constant issue amongst college students, as everyone is in some different financial situation, budgeting remains important in building responsibility amongst ourselves. So we have a very special guest with us to discuss budgeting tips. Please give a warm welcome to Jose. Thank you for joining us today, Jose.
The pleasure is all mine, Elvin. I very much look forward to having the audience and leave them with a little bit of wisdom. I've struggled with financial problems through my college tenure. I had tons of jobs and had to make sure I had enough money in the bank to get me through even a whole month. It all went wrong at first. I almost ended the month completely broke because I didn't check on what I was spending. But then I took a step back and I got my finances in order. Now I'm an expert at budgeting.
I'm sure you do. To start off, when people start budgeting, they're always told to figure out what is a want or a need when spending money. Now, what would you say is the difference between a want and a need?
Glad you asked that. I think a problem with most students is that they don't know what they should really spend and what they should save on. A want would be things like some expensive shoes or getting a lot of overpriced coffee that you don't really need to get through life. Are they good every once in a while? Of course. But at the end of the day, it's what you need that matters.
And what would be considered a need, Jose?
Well, affordable clothes, groceries, so you always have some food in your dorm or at home, school supplies, just to name a few. Basically, the essentials in order to live independently. Like, I really doubt something like the latest pair of Nike sneakers is really a need.
That's very good. I had to stop myself from getting an expensive phone in order to save on some food in the dorm. That's in my top 5 of the best decisions I've made, after some students have only a small amount of money or fixed income. How can they budget in order to be successful?
Well, at the beginning of every month, I keep track of how much money you have to spend. Then I create a spreadsheet, keeping track of everything you spend so you know where to go with spending the next month. Also, putting a certain amount of money into certain things can be helpful. For example, set like $200 aside for a month's worth of groceries, especially when using a credit card. Don't spend more than what you have, because that will lead to more debt later on. I think student loans are enough already. Don't dig the grave any deeper.
Very informative. I guess the phrase money talks doesn't apply in college.
You are very correct. It's easy for us to take money for granted and think we can just buy whatever we want. Impulse spending is probably the greatest thing anyone can overcome. You feel like you need to get something right away, rather than waiting until a sale or you have a consistent income. It's difficult. I'm not going to act like it's not, but it is possible.
Very true. Anything else you would like to add before we end the show?
One last thing. Money is not an easy thing to obtain, especially in these times. So when you do get it, just remember overall, you have a responsibility to use it wisely. It goes back to that expression, money talks. The money can influence your decisions rather than the other way around. There are forces out of your control, but with the money we have, it is our responsibility to control ourselves and know what is more important to save and spend on.
That was beautiful. Well, thank you once again for joining us for this show, Jose.
Thank you for the privilege.
Before we go, I would like to say something to our dear viewers. Budgeting is very difficult. Sometimes we will not be able to purchase things we really want due to financial circumstances. However, at the end of the day, we have to be responsible and figure out our financial situations. Well, that is all for today, folks. We hope you enjoyed learning more about today's topic. Thank you all for tuning into College Tech List. We'll catch you next time.